Tubeless tires have become a staple in the cycling world for many reasons. For mountain bikers, tubeless tires provide a much more enjoyable and flat-resistant ride in rough terrain. On road, tubeless setups can reduce the amount of flat-related mishaps. In both arenas, going tubeless allows riders to run lower air pressure for a more supple ride. The concept of going tubeless is simple, but without preparation, the process can be daunting. Today, we will help simplify this process by outlining every aspect of the job. First, we will talk about what tools and materials you will need. Then, we will show you the step-by-step process. And finally, we will review a few tips for maintaining your tubeless tire setup throughout the year. So let's get rolling, pun intended. When it comes to tools and materials, it doesn't matter whether your bike is intended for road or trail. We always recommend having the same things on hand. The tools you will need include a pump, 2 tire levers, scissors, a pick, and whatever tools you normally use to take your wheels on and off the bike. For materials, you'll need to have your tubeless tape, tubeless valve stems, and tubeless sealant. It doesn't hurt to have some isopropyl alcohol and a rag on hand for prepping the taping surface as well. Now that all of our ducks are in a row, let's make the magic happen. First, remove a wheel from your bike. Release all of the air from the inner tube inside of the tire. Now let's push the entire bead of the tire inwards towards the center of the rim on both sides. This will make dismounting the tire dramatically easier. With that out of the way, use one of your 2 tire levers to pull the tire bead over the rim. If your tire lever has a handy spoke hook, hook that bad boy in place. Now maneuver tire lever number 2 under the tire bead and make your way around the tire. This will release one side of the tire from the wheel. The inner tube should be exposed at this point, so we can go ahead and pull it out. With the tube out of the way, it should be really easy to get the remaining tire bead off of the wheel following the same steps from before. If your wheels are tubeless ready, you will already have tubeless tape in place and you can skip this next step. If not, make sure you first remove any existing rim strip if applicable and prep the rim surface with some isopropyl and a rag. This will ensure the tubeless tape adheres properly. I like to start my tubeless tape opposite of the valve hole to counterbalance the weight of the valve stem, but everyone has their preference on where to start taping. Just make sure you tape all the way around the rim and overlap the tape a few inches before cutting it to ensure a complete seal. Next, find your valve hole and poke the tape carefully with your pick. Insert your tubeless valve stem and apply pressure with one hand while threading on the lock ring with the other hand. We want to be sure you have a nice snug seal. Now we can start putting the tire back on. Please be mindful of the direction of your tire as well as how the logos align with the valve stem. The internet will show no mercy if you mess this up, believe me. With proper technique, a tire should mount mostly by hand. If not, we can employ our tire levers as needed to coax the tire back onto the rim. In extreme cases, soapy water on the rim may be needed as a lubricant to get the tire back on. Before we mount up that last bit of tire, pour the proper amount of sealant in. The sealant will find any imperfections in your tubeless setup and fill it with particulate to make sure it holds air. It also is responsible for sealing up small punctures that can happen on your rides. Once the tire is fully mounted with sealant inside, pump your tire until it is fully seated. Some stubborn tires may require a blast of air from a compressor to seat. Now, continue to inflate to whatever is the maximum pressure listed on your tire. This will help ensure that the sealant finds and seals any issues. Next, give that wheel a good shake around. We want to be sure that the sealant covers all of the area inside of the tire. Now repeat this process on wheel number 2. And congratulations, your tires are now tubeless. Finally, let's review some maintenance tips. Always check your tire pressure before your ride. Whether you're tubed or tubeless, air will always find its way out, so it's best to check it before you ride your bike. Another tip is to keep tabs on your sealant. Eventually, it will dry up and you'll need to add more to keep the tire from going flat. Some riders will just add sealant and carry on, but it's always a best practice to remove old sealant first. Some sealants can be sprayed out with a hose while others have to be peeled off from the inside of the tire. Starting fresh ensures that old sealant doesn't continue to accumulate, causing your tire to gain unnecessary weight. Our final tip is to keep a puncture kit or even a spare tube handy during your ride. There are going to be times when punctures are too big for the sealant to address. Having the right items can sometimes get you out of a bad situation, so it's best to stay prepared. And that's going to wrap up our tubeless tutorial for today. Make sure to check out all of the products we have available on our website for your tubeless setup. Thanks for tuning into Bikes Online, where you can ride more for less. We will see you next time.